But behind closed doors, I'm a fool for your love.
So here's most of my problem in my life. That alarm clock. The fucking alarm clock is killing me, man. Because I, this morning, hit it 3 times, 4 times. Even today, I'm still struggling with the getting out of bed. It's just been a problem of mine for my whole life. And I think sometimes I think, well, I'm just going to wait for motivation to hit me and then I'll get up earlier. Because I'd like to be up at 7. I know people up at 6. Mark Wahlberg gets up at 3, goes to bed at 7 p.m. These are animals. These are disciplined animals. But recently I've come across some of Mel's work and her 5-second rule. I want to talk about it just for a few minutes. You know, as we get into this vlog, I'm going to be talking to you about starting businesses, which I've started over 15 businesses myself. I'm going to want to talk to you about the great book, The 3 Magic Words, and how to find the right idea and how to implement it. Again, because I've done it, I've also failed at it a number of times and succeeded in a couple big ways. But everyone seems to be waiting for motivation, and when it comes, they're going to act. And what Mel says, and I agree with, is motivation is a bunch of bullshit. It's absolutely crap. It is the reason why you're not starting, because you're waiting for it to happen. Our brains are designed to protect us. So in other words, it's really about protecting against pain. But when we were cavemen, it was about protecting us from getting killed, from getting eaten. I mean, it was a scary time. Even 500 years ago, it was a scary time in this world. Not that it's not now, but it's less so now. Yet our brains are still programmed to keep us from any kind of risk. Anything different, anything uncertain, anything scary, we're going to have an automatic reaction from our brain, which will keep us from doing it. So, you know, so the only motivation we have is for things that are easy. I'll give you an example. I'm very motivated to eat every day. I'm very motivated to have my tequila and coconut water. I'm very motivated to go out with a girl. I'm very motivated to go, you know, to lunch with my buddies. But motivation to hit the fucking alarm button is not happening the same way. And I'm telling you, I am sick of it. So I now have a technique which I'm going to be implementing over the next few weeks. I'll tell you guys if it's working, that I want you to consider too. So with that being said, part of the problem is the subtlety in the way the brain operates. So the brain operates in loops, and these loops get stronger and stronger as we age, and they're habit loops. And so you get into a habit like wanting to sleep in, and it's a loop, and your brain will, once your brain awakens, it will take you to that loop, and it's very difficult to break it, or at least that's what everyone thought. Thanks to Mel, we've discovered a way around it, which I'll go over in a minute. The other thing about your brain that I find to be concerning is a thing called the spotlight effect. So once your brain finds pain, it will magnify that problem. This was something that was probably happening, 10,000 years ago when we were, living in a cave, and the brains, and you started having anxiety, you started having, you started getting fearful, you start sweating, and your brain immediately figures out you're in danger, and it just amplifies anything around you that it feels is dangerous, which is where anxiety comes from. And because of the amplification, you can literally, you hopefully will take action. That's what the brain wants. It wants you to get away from the pain, get away from the problem. That was all well and good 10,000 years ago, but man, in 2018, it's just not working right. It's a disaster, especially if you live in West Hollywood, California, where there's very little crime. I mean, I have very little thing to worry about. I have my great gay neighbors. Maybe could I go gay? I mean, that's about the only extent of problems I could have, and of course, that's kind of a silly thing to even think about. So, but we're still conditioned with this fight or flight mentality. So, how do you get out of it? Because the one decision you make that's based on the current way you think and react, it can change everything. I mean, it just takes one decision. For me, as I look back on my career, there's been a number of decisions that were really important in my life that changed the course of my whole life, that were all made without thinking. And they were made instantaneously. The decision to leave Columbus, Ohio, which literally came, which is a crazy story, which maybe one day I'll tell you guys the whole story about, the whole murder and all this other stuff that happened around me that I had to be testifying. And there was on national TV. But a friend of mine called me and said, "Hey Eric, I saw you on TV. You're in a crazy situation. You don't need to be in Ohio. Why don't you move to LA? I have a couch and I know a guy." Literally, I didn't think. I just went, "Yeah, I'm in." The brain, guys, needs about 5 seconds to activate. It doesn't activate automatically upon decision making, decision making. It takes a little time to get started. That window of time is the time when you need to take action. If you wait to the end of the 5 seconds, you're going to do nothing or the wrong thing every single time, because you'll get into a loop. Because in your mind you have a loop, a habit loop. Everything is based on habits you've created, and it's looping. So you just go back to that habit, hit the alarm, sleep till 8:30 or 9. Be upset with yourself the whole day because you didn't get up early enough. And guys, the first 3 hours of your day is the critical part of your day. That's the most productive time in your day. That's the time you need to do all the most important things. If you're getting up at 9:30, 10, you're already behind the 8 ball, which I was even today. I had to go, I was late going down to get something. I had to tell Mako, my boy here, that he had to come later. Like, it fucked my whole day because I'm just starting to learn how to control this bitch. This mind bitch. Okay. So, another great decision I made was to open the company, to open up my talent agency in '98, which came in an instant. I realized I wanted to be a talent agency owner, even though I didn't know nothing about the business. But I had become highly inspired by seeing people that were doing it and wanted to be them. And the pain of not being them was greater than the pain of making the change. And I just made an instantaneous decision. And then, of course, another one I'll talk about in a minute. So, here's the problem we have. We all make decisions, a lot of times we make decisions based on some cost. Some, S-U-M, cost. So, if you have invested a lot into something, you're not likely to make a decision to leave it. Whether it's a girl or a guy, or whether it's your business. How many of us have had a dog business that we stayed in way too long? Way too long. And it's because of the sum cost. We just, our brains, it looks at what you've put into it and it makes a decision for you based on that. And because it feels, through its primitive form, that the pain of leaving it would be greater than the pain of staying because of the amount of time and energy and maybe money you put into it. It's called sum cost, and it's one of the worst things that our brain does. It's a brain trick, okay? So, how do you get around it? Well, there's a gap in between what you know you should do and the actual doing. So the knowledge versus the doing is the key problem. And that gap, as I mentioned, tends to be a very short gap. So what Mel recommends, and something I recommend to all of you, is the 5-second rule. So when I wake up tomorrow morning, I've made a decision. I'm going to count. As soon as I wake up, as soon as that alarm goes off, before I go to bed at night, I'm going to say it to myself out loud. I'm going to count down from 5 to 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's too easy. The reason you do it this way is by the time you get to 1, you've moved up to your frontal cortex. You move from this part of your brain, which is the emotional brain and the habit brain, to the brain that makes decisions that you would use if you were going to write. I'm left-handed. If I was going to write right-handed, and you tied my hand behind my back, you would see this part of my brain firing on all cylinders. It's trying to tell my right arm how to write. This is the part of your brain you need to use to make decisions and to do things that are hard and difficult. So, in order for you to switch from here to here, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, simplest thing ever, as Mel says. I love her for this because it happened to her. She went through a whole bunch of shit, and then one night she was watching TV late and saw a rocket ship take off right before she went to bed, and she went, "Oh my God! In the morning, I'm gonna be a rocket ship. I'm gonna rocket ship out of bed." And she used this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing. And as soon as you hit 1, you need to put another affirmation in your head. You need to put something in your head at that moment because now you've shifted your brain, and that will break the loop. Then you can get up. You can do what you need to do. And by the way, this works with worry. It works almost in every way where your brain is reacting in a negative or not towards your goals. as soon as it happens, you need to use the system, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 system, and then put a positive affirmation right afterwards. Stick that into your brain, and you will get you will reset your mind. Do this for 3 weeks, and you'll have a whole new habit.